43 years ago, 8 unforgettable faces piled into one ridiculous family car and gave the world the funniest road trip in cinema history. But behind the laughter hid addiction, tragedy, and secrets that destroyed lives. David here, and what I'm about to reveal will break your heart. The family car looked ridiculous for a reason, and at the end I'll reveal why the filmmakers made it one of the most unforgettable vehicles in comedy history. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a single shocking truth. Chevy Chase, Clark W. Griswold. Cornelius Crane Chase, known as Chevy Chase, played the lovable but disaster-prone father Clark W. Griswold, and he was born on October 8, 1943 in Lower Manhattan, New York, into a wealthy publishing family where his stepfather was reportedly abusive. Before this 1983 film, he joined the original cast of Saturday Night Live in 1975, where he won 2 Emmy Awards in his very first season. Director Harold Ramis cast him as Clark because he wanted a man who could look perfect on the outside while falling apart on the inside. And what made his Clark special was the mix of fake smiles, slapstick falls, and quiet rage that no other comedian could copy.
Good? What's the difference? She'll be fine. It's not as if it's going to rain or something.
Over the years, he checked into the Betty Ford Center in 1986 for painkiller addiction and again in 2016 for alcohol problems. His big comeback came in 2009 when he joined the NBC comedy series Community as Pierce Hawthorne before being fired in 2012. At 82 years old, he lives quietly in Bedford, New York after surviving a serious heart attack scare in 2003. And his legacy stands as the man who made millions laugh as the perfect dad while privately fighting addiction. And the painful truth that the funniest man in the room was often the saddest soul of all. Beverly D'Angelo, Ellen Griswold. Beverly Heather D'Angelo, who played the patient and loving wife Ellen Griswold, was born on November 15, 1951, in Columbus, Ohio, into an artistic family where her father was a bass player and her mother was a violinist. Before this 1983 film, she broke into acting with the 1979 musical Hair and the 1980 hit Coal Miner's Daughter, where she earned a Golden Globe nomination for playing country singer Patsy Cline. Director Harold Ramis personally chose her for Ellen because he wanted a real singer and natural beauty who could ground Chevy Chase's chaos. And what made her character special was the warm, calm love she showed even when everything around her was falling apart.
I've directed only 10 films,
Over the years, she faced the public heartbreak of her 7-year romance with Al Pacino, which ended in 2003 after she gave birth to their twins, Anton and Olivia, at the age of 49 through IVF treatment. At 74 years old, she still acts steadily with a reported net worth of around $20 million. And her legacy is that of a glamorous singer-actress who quietly carried 4 vacation films on her shoulders while raising twins alone and proving that real strength often hides behind the softest smile. Anthony Michael Hall, Russell Rusty Griswold. Michael Anthony Hall, who became famous as Russell Rusty Griswold, was born on April 14, 1968, in West Roxbury, Massachusetts, to a jazz singer mother named Mercedes Hall, and a father who left the family when Michael was very young. Before this 1983 film, he earned a small role in the family film Six Pack with country singer Kenny Rogers. At just 14 years old, he beat hundreds of other boys for the role of Rusty because writer John Hughes saw a rare mix of innocence and sharp comic timing in him, which later inspired Hughes to write 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club specifically around him. And what made his Rusty special was the calm, knowing look in his eyes.
Talking gross here? No, it's just embarrassing.
Over the years, he became the youngest cast member of Saturday Night Live at age 17 in 1985, but the pressure crushed him, leading to alcohol addiction and a painful career collapse. After years of quiet recovery, he is now sober, healthy, and worth around $4 million at 58 years old, leaving behind the painful but inspiring lesson that the boy who made America laugh spent decades fighting demons no camera ever captured. Which scene of young Rusty Griswold do you still remember the most after all these years? Drop it in the comments below. Dana Barron, Audrey Griswold. Dana Stephanie Barron, who played the original Audrey Griswold, was born on April 22, 1966, in New York City to a working-class family that supported her early passion for performing. Before this 1983 film, she had appeared in the short-lived CBS comedy series The Two of Us in 1981. She won the role of Audrey by beating hundreds of teenage actresses, where director Harold Ramis picked her for her natural, honest face that looked like a real American teenager. And what made her character special was the quiet, eye-rolling sarcasm of an older sister who secretly loved her crazy family.
Junior pig competition? You won this for raising a pig?
Over the years, she faced painful typecasting, the heartbreaking early death of her beloved father, and a difficult divorce after a short marriage to actor Brian Wimmer. At 60 years old, she still acts in small independent films with a modest net worth of around $1 million, and her legacy is that of the kind, real teenage daughter every 80s family wished they had, and the living proof that walking away from Hollywood can sometimes save your soul. Randy Quaid, Cousin Eddie Johnson. Randall Rudy Quaid, who played the unforgettable Cousin Eddie Johnson, was born on October 1st, 1950 in Houston, Texas, and is the older brother of fellow actor Dennis Quaid. Before this 1983 film, he earned an Academy Award nomination at just 23 years old for The Last Detail in 1973.
Snot, you roll over and let Uncle Clark scratch your belly.
We were gonna call, but Eddie wanted...
When he was hired for Vacation as a small one-scene cameo, director Harold Ramis was so impressed by his improvised lines that the role was expanded into one of the most beloved supporting characters in film history. And what made Cousin Eddie special was his happy ignorance, his ugly sweaters, and the way he turned every embarrassing moment into pure family love. Then everything fell apart as he quietly battled bipolar disorder for decades and fled to Canada in 2010, claiming Hollywood star-whackers were trying to kill him. At 75 years old, he lives quietly in Vermont, painting oil portraits with a net worth that has fallen to a reported $500,000, leaving the painful legacy of a brilliant Oscar-nominated actor whose mental illness turned his real life into a tragedy far darker than any movie he ever made. Yet to fans worldwide, he will always be the man who held up that empty cup and said the funniest words in the entire Griswold journey. John Candy, Russ Lasky. John Franklin Candy, who appeared in the final scenes as the kind-hearted Wally World security guard Russ Lasky, was born on October 31st, 1950 in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada, and lost his father Sidney to a heart attack when John was only 5. Before this 1983 film, he became a beloved Canadian comedy star through the SCTV sketch show from 1976 to 1981, where he won 2 Emmy Awards for writing. Director Harold Ramis, who was John's close friend from their Second City days, brought him in as a personal favor because he wanted a warm, recognizable face to close out the film's biggest moment, and what made his Lasky special was the gentle softness in his eyes and the truth that he played kindness better than any other comic actor of his generation. Over the next decade, he worked himself to total exhaustion in over 40 films, including Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Home Alone. But he silently battled lifelong obesity that reached 350 pounds. Tragically, on March 4th, 1994, while filming Wagons East in Durango, Mexico, he suffered a massive heart attack in his sleep and died at just 43 years old. His legacy is the warmest soul Hollywood ever lost too soon. A man whose laughter healed millions while his own body silently failed him, proving that the people who give us the most joy are often the ones carrying the heaviest pain alone. If John Candy were still alive today, which movie do you wish he had made? Let us know in the comments below. Christie Brinkley, Girl in the Red Ferrari. Christie Lee Brinkley, who played the breathtaking Girl in the Red Ferrari, who tempted Clark Griswold across America, was born on February 2, 1954, in Monroe, Michigan, to a television writer's stepfather named Donald Allen Brinkley. Before this 1983 film, she had been discovered by accident in 1973 at a Paris post office at the age of 19, and appeared on 3 back-to-back Sports Illustrated swimsuit covers from 1979 to 1981. Writer John Hughes wrote the Ferrari scene specifically as a fantasy moment, and Christie was personally chosen because audiences would instantly recognize her as the ultimate symbol of beauty. And what made her character special was that her short wordless performance with just smiles and glances became one of the most replayed scenes of 1980s cinema.
It's not okay to be, to have any imperfection.
Her glamorous life hid deep pain, including 4 difficult marriages, a near-fatal helicopter crash in Telluride, Colorado in 1994, and a brutal public divorce from architect Peter Cook in 2008 that exposed his affair with an 18-year-old girl. At 72 years old, she still looks 2 decades younger, with a reported net worth of $100 million. And her legacy is that of the woman the world saw as untouchable, who secretly survived more heartbreaks than most people could ever imagine, and still smiles like the girl in that red Ferrari. Imogene, Coca, Aunt Edna. Imogene Fernandez, Coca, who played the cranky and unforgettable Aunt Edna, who passed away on the rooftop of the family car, was born on November 18, 1908, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to a Spanish immigrant father who was a vaudeville conductor and an Irish mother who was a dancer. Before this 1983 film, she became a national star on Your Show of Shows from 1950 to 1954, alongside Sid Caesar, where she won an Emmy in 1951. Director Harold Ramis cast her at the age of 74 because he wanted a real comedy icon who could play the meanest aunt in cinema and still make audiences laugh. And what made her Edna special was her tiny 4'11" frame, her sharp, scratchy voice, and the unforgettable image of her dead body tied to the roof of the station wagon.
Why don't you just ask him for the money, Eddie? You sure as hell can't take a hint.
In her final years, she battled Alzheimer's disease and a stroke that left her unable to speak. She passed away on June 2, 2001, at the age of 92, leaving behind a giant legacy as the woman who broke open the door for every female comedian who came after her, and the unforgettable truth that the grumpiest aunt in cinema was in real life one of the kindest and most groundbreaking performers America ever produced. The car was ugly on purpose. The Wagon Queen family truckster was designed as a parody of old American station wagons. Its strange shape, fake wood paneling, extra headlights, and ugly green color made it look funny before the actors even said a word. That car became one of the most famous comedy vehicles of the 1980s because it perfectly matched Clark Griswold's chaotic dream vacation. 43 years later, the Griswold family still makes us laugh, cry, and remember the people we lost along the way. From John Candy's warm heart to Imogene Coca's fearless spirit. If this touched you, hit that subscribe button right now and join a family that never forgets the legends who made our childhood magical.